All right, RF techs, let's get right into it. Today we're tackling a really frustrating problem, the kind that can take a perfectly stable network and turn it into a total dead zone in a heartbeat. We're talking about intentional interference. So in this explainer, we're going to walk through the professional way to identify, locate, and report Wi-Fi and Bluetooth jamming signals. You'll know exactly what to do when you're out there on the front lines.
You know the call I'm talking about. You show up on site, and a whole area has just lost all wireless connectivity. Laptops, phones, you name it, nothing's working. Now, your first instinct is probably a bad access point, maybe a network glitch. But what if it's not a technical failure? What if it's an attack? That's the rabbit hole we're going down today.
Okay, so before we jump into the fun stuff, the actual hunt, we've got to get the serious part out of the way. Let's talk about the rules of the game, the legal framework, and our professional boundaries. This stuff is absolutely critical.
So let's be crystal clear about this. What we're covering here is part 6 of a much larger tutorial. It's all for educational and, interference fighting purposes, drawn from a really detailed report by the folks at RFI Detectives. And I can't stress this enough. Using jamming equipment without authorization is super illegal in most places. We're talking significant penalties. Our job is to be the detectives, not the bad guys. All right, with that important legal stuff covered, let's get down to business. How do you even know what you're looking for? To find a jammer, you first have to build a profile of the threat. What does this kind of interference actually look like out in the RF environment? Here's the textbook definition, and it really nails it. Jamming is the deliberate transmission of energy. This is not your office microwave going haywire and messing with the Wi-Fi. No, this is someone intentionally trying to shut things down. That word, deliberate, is everything. It's the difference between simple noise and a targeted attack.
So what does this look like in the real world when you're on site? Well, sometimes it's obvious, right? A total connectivity blackout. But it can be sneakier, like connections that constantly drop or signals that are just terrible for no reason. But here's the big red flag for me. You pull out your spectrum analyzer or even just your phone. You scan for networks in a place that should be packed with them, and you get nothing. Zero. It's like the entire 2.4 or 5 gigahertz band just, poof, vanished. That's when you know something is very wrong.
Okay, so the alarm bells are ringing. You've seen the symptoms, and you're pretty sure you're not dealing with a faulty router. You suspect a jammer. So what's next? Well, now the hunt begins, and there's a clear 3-step field protocol to guide you. This 3-step process is your playbook. First, observe, and I mean really observe. Don't touch any gear yet. Log what the users are experiencing. Check the network logs for a sudden catastrophic drop in the signal-to-noise ratio. Second, locate. This is when you break out the good stuff. Your spectrum analyzer is your best friend here. You're probably looking for a big, ugly broadband signal, a high, flat noise floor raised across the entire band. That's the classic signature of a crude jammer. Then you grab your directional antenna and start taking bearings. Pro tip, get as wide a baseline as you can between measurements to really nail down the location. And finally, document. Record every single measurement, every timestamp. Remember, this isn't just for a report, it's potential evidence. And that last step, documentation, is so important that it leads us right to our next point. This is all about the professional standard for protocol and reporting. This is what makes your findings solid, both technically and legally. Your work doesn't just end when you find the signal. It has to be presented in a way that's totally buttoned up, something that can stand up to serious scrutiny. Following professional protocols like the ones from RFI Detectives is absolutely non-negotiable. It's what separates a hunch from a solid case. And let's end with this powerful quote, because it's the ultimate why this matters. The stakes are incredibly high. Your methodical work helps protect critical communications, sure, but it also exists in a strict legal reality. As an RF technician, you are the first line of defense in keeping the spectrum clear and legal. So the real question is, when you find that jammer, are you prepared to document your findings with the level of rigor that the law demands?